right, guys, today we're going to talk about one of the most powerful documents that we have in our arsenal. It's a document that a buyer's agent doesn't really like to put together, and a listing agent definitely does not like to receive. My name is Jeremy Smith. This is Living an Epic Life in Real Estate. The design of this channel is to help you as a real estate agent grow in all aspects of your business so that you can live an epic life in real estate. And we're going to do that partly through educating you on the process. Don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notifications when we do post more content, which is weekly, and also share this video and comment below with any questions you may have or suggestions for videos in the future. And this very powerful one-page document we're talking about today is the buyer's notice of termination of contract. Now, this document is promulgated by the Texas Real Estate Commission, so we use this one 100% of the time, even though we really hate to be in that situation. This is the document that we use. So you can see in this document, it's between the buyer and the seller, right? So first thing you'll do is put the property address here on that top line, street address and city, right? You don't have to put the state and zip code. You can if you want to, but it really just calls for street address and city between the undersigned buyer and the seller, right? So you don't even really need to name the buyers because they're named down below, undersigned, right? So you're gonna need to put the seller's name, and then there's some reasons that the buyer can terminate that you can check here. A buyer notifies seller that the contract is terminated pursuant to the following. Number one, the unrestricted right of buyer to terminate the contract under paragraph 5 of the contract. So that is in reference to the option period. The unrestricted right, even that verbiage, helps you to know that it's talking about the option period there. Paragraph 2, buyer cannot obtain buyer approval in accordance with the third-party financing addendum of the contract. So on your third-party financing addendum, if you haven't watched that video, go watch it, because we talk about this buyer approval versus property approval. So this is in the event that the buyer doesn't qualify. Now, there's a contingency in that third-party financing addendum that's going to say how long they have to do this. So if this is done within that time frame, you're good to go. If that time frame expires or passes, you wouldn't be able to check box 2 for that reason. So number 3, the property does not satisfy property approval in accordance with the third-party financing addendum to the contract. Buyer has delivered to seller lender's written statement setting forth the reasons for lender's determination. So it's not your determination if it doesn't meet property approval. It's not the buyer's determination. It's not the seller's determination. It is the lender who determines that. And there are many different ways that they can go about doing that. Usually it happens due to the results of an appraisal, or if the lender is given an inspection report and they find issues there. So don't give lenders inspection reports, but that's the box you would check there. And it's important to note that on that third-party financing addendum, again, if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it, because we talk about the time frame here. And just so you know, there isn't one, right? On property approval, there is no time frame. It can go all the way up until the day of closing, or scheduled closing anyway. So buyer elects, number 4, buyer elects to terminate under paragraph A of the addendum for property subject to mandatory membership of a property owners association. So that's another addendum. We have a video on that. Go find it and watch it so that you can get educated on that form. But paragraph A talks about the rules of the HOA and how much time the buyer has to get those and review them and then terminate if they wish. Let's see, number 5, buyer elects to terminate under paragraph 7B2 of the contract relating to the seller's disclosure notice. If you play chess and not checkers, when you're doing real estate contracts, then you'll know that if the seller doesn't provide the seller's disclosure right away, or if the box 7B2 is checked, that says that the seller has X amount of days to provide the buyer with the seller's disclosure, or once the buyer gets those seller's disclosures, they have 7 days to terminate the contract after that. So if that is the situation you find yourself in, as a buyer's agent, kudos to you, because you probably played a good game of chess. If you fall under this as a listing agent, shame on you. You should have never let yourself get into this situation. So make sure that box 7B2 is never checked, but 7B1 is, which means that they have received the notice. So anyway, that's a little training for you guys on seller's disclosures and contract stuff, purchase agreement contract. But that's where you would check here if they were terminating due to that being an option to them. Number 6, buyer elects to terminate due to paragraph 3 of the addendum concerning right to terminate due to lender's appraisal. buyer has delivered a copy of the appraisal to the seller. So there's an addendum. We've got a video on that. Addendum for concerning right to terminate due to lender's appraisal. So that paragraph says that, hey, they have if the property doesn't appraise for this amount, then they have a right to terminate, right? So that would be their cause there. Number 7, buyer elects to terminate under paragraph 6D of the contract, 6.C for residential condominium contracts, because timely objections were not cured by the end of the cured period. So I don't even remember what that one is about. It's obviously about objections. What I think it is like if you were to put something in there for a specific use. If the buyer wanted to put in a pool or use a home for short-term rentals or build a barn or put a landing strip for an airplane on their property and they identified that in paragraph 6, but then they couldn't do it, that would be your appropriate box to terminate the contract based off that knowledge within the time frame that the contract specifies. And last one, number 8, is other. Identify the paragraph number of contract or the addendum, right? So you're gonna have to put some words to paper there and articulate exactly why they're terminating. So it says, note, this notice is not an election of remedies. Release of the earnest money is governed by the contract. So just because you submit a termination doesn't mean that you're gonna get earnest money back. Remember, there's a form called the release of earnest money. We've got a video on that. And that's important to know. That should accompany this. If you're working with the buyer, you should expect this to come with the termination if you're a listing agent. And then the terms of the contract dictate how that goes, right? So that's a whole other topic. But then it says consult an attorney before signing. TREC rules prohibit real estate license holders from giving legal advice. And then read this form carefully. You're gonna see that on so many documents. You're not an attorney as a real estate agent, so don't give legal advice. If your client asks for it, refer them to an attorney and let them know that you just can't give that advice. And then this kind of gets you out of it. It says read this form carefully. I highly recommend you explain this to your clients though. Don't just rely on them to pull this up and read it on their phone or read it in an email or whatever. Explain it to them so that they understand. The more you know this document, the better you can use it to protect your clients. Thank you guys for watching. Again, my name is Jeremy Smith. This is Living an Epic Life in Real Estate. If you didn't already do so, and you found value in this video, subscribe to the channel, help us grow it, like the video, share it on your social media or through email with people who you know could benefit from a topic like this. And then yeah, let us know how we can get better and what content or what questions or what documents you would like explained. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.